Hi everyone, Sandra Duran Wilson here, and welcome to this week's Mixed Media Soul Sparks. Every week I bring you different ideas for jump-starting your creativity using mixed media. I do have weekly sessions that you can purchase, but I also want to keep putting things out there for free for you. And this is a fun lesson that's going to be very timely in the spring for us here in North America. And I want to look at ways to reuse products that you might have everyday use for, but then you might throw them away. So today we're going to be looking at styrofoam. Now, styrofoam is one of those things that is just everywhere, no matter if you try not to buy it. It comes in food packaging, it comes in plates, it comes in takeout containers. So if you have some, this is a great way to reuse it. Make sure you're starting with some clean styrofoam. And today what I'm going to share with you is how to emboss it, how to paint with it, and how to embed it. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, this you can see is a leftover palette that I have. And sometimes you get these really nice little bits of things. And what I'm going to be doing is cutting this up later. And this is a tray from, I don't know if it was vegetables or whatever came in it. And it's a much thicker piece of styrofoam. And I've got my background. This is a panel from Ampersand, and I had just been cleaning off leftover paints. But now that I have some colors of what I know are on my plates, here's another one. So I want to incorporate my background color. And for that, I've decided I'm going to use some cobalt teal mixed with white. And I'm going to create a kind of implied texture is what I call it. Get these out of the way. I want to do this first so it can be drying, and then I'm going to show you some embossing techniques. Let me grab my knife and mix this up. Sometimes I don't mix it completely, like homogenized. I like to leave a little bit of the white and a little bit of the blue separate. I pick it up and I'm just going to paint it over here. And come in. You see I'm getting some movement in there with the brush. I'm just going to spray some alcohol. And when you spray the alcohol onto wet acrylic, the acrylic paint moves away from the alcohol drops. Now this is only going to work if the paint is wet and if the paint is thin enough. The viscosity of this paint is a little thicker than what I might want. So I could still come in with some water. Water's not going to do anything to it, but dilute it. I can move this around again and then come back again with the alcohol. And you can see how the paint moves away from that alcohol. I think I might come in with a different color up in here. And I'm going to use this kind of burgundy color. I'm not even cleaning my brush off, just blending it in and letting other parts of the background peek through. Now this is just a background, so no worries. I'm just trying to kind of look at colors for when I embed these other pieces. See, I'm cleaning off my brush onto this paper towel. Who knows, that could be embedded in it also. And here, I want to show you one thing. So if I take my paint over here, and I could come back with my knife Or I've got this little silicone tool, which can make some nice marks in here as well. Because I know these little pieces might end up in my painting. Okay. Well, that's kind of interesting. I get caught up in playing with all this stuff. Now I want to show you the foam and what you can do with it. One of my favorite things, I'm going to set this aside to dry. Here's a piece that I've taken a brush, and the end of it it was a really fine brush, and it just finally disappeared. And I can come in here and really emboss into this styrofoam. Now this was a thin packaging piece. I think it might have even been left over from a takeout container. This is, the package is much heavier. It's going to take more pressure to emboss this thicker piece. Now I have one of my 6 books on mixed media. One of my favorite books is Alternative Art Surfaces, and you can see in there some of the great ways that I've used styrofoam and other kinds of foam as a painting surface. So on this thick one, I can actually take my brush and really press into it. I could even go all the way through and make a hole, which would then show through to the back side if I embossed or embedded this into a painting. So many fun possibilities of things you can do. I won't have time to show you everything, but give you some ideas, get you started, and then you can get on your way. Another way to emboss this is using texture plates. Now these are hard texture plates. This is from Friskers, and they've got 2 different designs, one on each side. And I'm going to use the softer one here. And I'm just going to use this craft stick, and I'm going to press it down, holding it in place. Or you could use a hard brayer, and you see you really have to press down. But when you pull it up, you can't see it too well now, but if I bring a little paint onto here, I'll show you. Now let's bring this over. Tell you, no matter how much room I have, I run out of room in a matter of minutes. Does that ever happen to you? I bet it does. So now I'm just putting this is a heavier paint, and I want to drag it over this surface. Now you can see that texture. It's hard to see when it's just the white, but I can paint that. I can let that dry. I could add more colors. I could come back, emboss the rest of it. Here's some other ideas. This is another piece that I used to do some embossing on. And you can start to see the colors. The colors. You can start to see the pattern. And sometimes it works well, sometimes it doesn't. Depends on your surface. Now this is going to give you a little idea. I won't demonstrate it here, but this is a fun thing I've done in the past is I've taken some of these pieces, especially the thin pieces of the foam, and I have then coated them in resin and put them together, different pieces, and made pieces of jewelry out of them. So you could see how these would be painted, put with resin, and then kind of clamped together here, and it could be a beautiful necklace. Just another idea. Okay, so that's embossing using the texture plates. punching through, drawing. And here was a little piece that was taken off the side of the plate. You can see it right here. I just cut it out, so I've already got an embossing there. So now what do you do with these? How do you embed them? And that's what I want to show you. Here's another little piece of leftover paper wrapping, and I had some leftover gels and stuff that I put on there. But let's go back over here. And just gonna make sure this is dry. I'll wipe some of it back. And when you go to embed these pieces, well, first I'm going to cut some up, and I'm looking at some of these colors. Now, if I want to use big pieces, I could do that. I could come in here with smaller pieces. I can put a few big pieces. Come back in here with some of this smaller. Kind of work out my idea of my pattern. Even when you're beginning to cut these up, they become almost like little mini compositions, depending on how you cut these pieces up. Let's take one of these out. I'm going to put this one in here. Okay. I'll get this started, and then later on I'll finish it and show you the finished piece. But I've got a heavy gel semi-gloss. You can get heavy gel in regular, you can get it in matte. The semi-gloss is the halfway in between sheen. And I've also got light molding paste. Now, a gloss or a matte medium, or gel rather, it gets confusing, I tell you. The gel is going to dry clear, whereas a paste is going to stay white when it dries. So those are some things to consider. Now, if you wanted to try and glue it with something thinner, it's not going to work. You need something heavy. You need something with enough viscosity to hold the styrofoam. And it's also going to be thicker, so you need something to kind of come up and level out the gel. This is a heavy one, so I'm going to just put a thin layer on the back here, just using my knife. And I'm not worrying about having the proper layer, because I'm going to push it down. And then I'm going to bring this one over here. And put it there. And because this is going to dry clear, I don't have to worry about getting it on the surface. But let's just say, let's get one more piece in here. So do you see how I can get it on thick and start to bring it in between? So when this dries, this will be clear. It'll be coming up to the edges, almost to the edges of my styrofoam. But remember that acrylic shrinks about 30%. So as this dries, it's going to shrink down a bit. So I might want to put on a nice thick layer of it. Now, what if I wanted to kind of get rid of some of the background? So here, I could come in with this. This is the light molding paste. It's just another idea. I wouldn't necessarily do both of them in the same piece, but I just want to show you. So think of this more like doing mosaics, and that the the light molding paste is going to become like the grout as you put your pieces down. So that's another way to do it. If I wanted to kind of match this up, you see I'm going to bring this over, but I want to make sure I wipe off the paste from the surface. So when this dries, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to add some more pieces. You can come back and check this out, and I'll post this on Facebook or on YouTube when it's finished, and you can see what it looks like. So thank you so much for joining me, and I invite you to take a look at my new updated website. FASO, which stands for Fine Art Studio Online, just did a really nice revamp on my website, and I just want to give them a shout out and let you know I've been using them for over, 12, 15 years, and it's a wonderful place to show your art. Very easy, simple, affordable, and great people to work with. So hop on over to my website at sandraduranwilson.com and take a look. Let me know what you think. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Join the Creative Awakening community on Facebook, where you'll be able to post your art, connect with other creatives around the world, and ask questions. Use the hashtag #MixedMediaSoulSparks when posting your work on social media. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week.